So what we've decided to do as a team this month is do really short little series. So each Wednesday night, last week we focused on saving time. Tonight we're focusing on health, and next week we're focusing on money saving ideas. So not a full class, but just two really brief recipes that you can definitely use with your Thermomix, and with health such a focus, and the Thermomix is king for that. So getting the most out of it and getting as much bang for our buck in our meals. And these two girls are amazing at it. So they are my little gurus in my team, that's for sure. So tonight we're going to actually start with Connie. So Connie, you can tell us what you're cooking tonight, and I'll spotlight that for everyone so we can all see Connie. Also, please feel free to come off mute, ask the questions. There's only a small group of us, as interactive as possible, so don't hesitate to ask any questions. Thank you, Connie.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I off mute? Yes, I am.
Yeah, no, you're perfect.
So today I'm going to be making a recipe that I love. It is a hidden veg sauce. I love my Thermomix because additives, preservatives, and reducing them in our foods is a huge focus for me. So with the Thermomix, I'm able to choose recipes and create recipes and know exactly the ingredients that are going into them. So for me, that is my number one priority. So I've chosen a recipe today that is jam-packed with nutrients. It is versatile. It can be used in so many different ways, and you can bulk make it. So storing it is a good idea in the freezer, so that when you do want to use it, you can just take it out and use it in the different ways that you choose. I'm going to make a single batch of this, but I know that you can make a double batch of it in your Thermomix, and it fits fine. So what I'm doing is a hidden veg sauce. That has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different veggies. I'm going to be loading it with 9 veggies. Sorry, I'm going to be loading it with bone broth. I'm going to be putting liver caps in there. So it's going to be jam-packed with nutrients, and I love it because it takes no time in the Thermomix as well. So it can be cooking away. I don't have to stir it, have to worry about any of the veggies sticking or any of that jazz. And just what I need. Jess, you'll love this recipe. Yeah, and that's what I'll be doing. It's really easy, and it is actually really tasty. So I'm going to get started. It's called the mini vegetable pasta. It's actually from one of the cookbooks from Louise Keats, which I love as well. When I started my I've got 4 boys, so when I started them on solids, only the last 2, because that's when I had my Thermomix. This cookbook has stacks of recipes for solids, starting solids, and they are jam-packed with ingredients that you would probably never think of. And I love that in the tips and tricks section, it will tell you, we've added purple carrot for this reason, or, we've added parsley for this. And it tells you the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals that will be added by using the specific ingredients that they've chosen, which I love. So if you have not,
I'll fix that. That's all right.
Can everyone hear me though? Jess,
yeah, no, everyone can. I just
yeah, maybe
so
help.
you just have to Jess, you just need to add at the bottom on the left hand corner next to where it says stop video, you'll have a little mic. Just press that and that should jump it on.
So it's called the mini vegetable pasta. I'm not going to be making the pasta. That's at the end of the recipe. I'm just making the sauce so that I can show you how easy it is. So it's adding an onion, which I've already got here. It wants garlic. I'm actually adding some celery as well, because why not? I don't have anything without celery and carrots. And it's just going to chop it for me.
So yeah, Cookie Doo has just so many recipes, and like Connie was saying, that recipe book is amazing, and it's a great way to get the most out of your meals. Look at that, love that.
See that? And it would help if I put my spatula on, which I don't even have.
I know that all of us are trying to hide. I don't know about all of us, so I'm trying to hide veggies. My Mr. 5 is very, very, very fussy, so I've got to take every opportunity to try and hide things. That's for sure.
I just scrape the bowl down. Asking me to add olive oil.
I'll put the link in, Samantha, for the book, the recipe.
Yes.
I'll put it in the chat.
She has quite a few books on there. This is the Whole Food Child recipe book, which has so many good recipes. And even if it's got 10 to 12 months or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. It's great for anybody. So that's going to cook my onions and my garlic and my celery, because I've added that in, for 2 minutes, as you can hear. And then I'll be ready to add my other veggies. This paste, once I puree it down, I use the freezer pods, which I was just sharing.
Oh, yeah, I'll put the link.
And Raf, who I think Raf's got them, but they are I've bought Tupperware, I've bought Sistema, I've got 4 kids, so I've tried everything for the freezer in terms of pods, and the freezer pods are amazing. The ones from the mix shop, I've got 3 of them. I think Jess will be able to say that she's obsessed with them as well. Nothing sticks to them. I've done like tomato paste, curry paste, nothing stains them. They are just amazing. And my only problem is I don't have enough of them. I've got 3. Jess has got them as well, I think. Yeah, the other Jess. So what I do is with this paste, once I've made up a batch of it, I put them in the pods and I freeze them, and then I remove them, put them in a bag, and then just load it up and use them as I need them. I pop a pod in, a shepherd's pie. I add a pod.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Just instead of tomato paste, I'll just drop one of those in, add it to your bolognese, add a few pods. That's my base, my pizza scrolls. I always do that at the base, or even just your pizza bases, your tomato paste for those. And you know that it's loaded with veg. The kids will not taste the veggies in it. And it's loaded with so many good nutrients. If you want to just add it to pasta, I know people that do and love it. And their kids love it as well. So it is really a tasty sauce that you can use in that way as well.
And I've added that link to the chat. So if you want to press that, that will take you to the mix shop page of where they are. And don't forget to add your consultant as well if you purchase from the mix shop, because we really appreciate it.
If you can see that, but it's nice and soft.
Nothing to see. Nothing to see.
The onion, so I'm going to add my carrot.
Oh, hang on, I'll just mute someone.
If you have a TM6 already, you know that it's weighing your ingredients as you go along. I've got pumpkin, I've got carrot that I'm adding. It wants 500 grams of diced tomatoes. I'm not dicing tomatoes. I'm using my favorite
Smarter, not harder.
Organic diced tomatoes from Aldi. These do not have any additives or preservatives in it. I don't work for Aldi, but the Macros brand at Woolies does. This one doesn't, and I love them. So
good to know. I didn't know that.
Yep. So it's asking for 500 grams. I'm doing 2 cans of these because that works well. Even though it's a bit over, it's fine. Tomato paste, which I have some left over. I do a bit extra, it doesn't really matter.
That's how I cook, Connie.
Yes.
Close enough, good enough.
I want to waste. And that's going to just chop that down.
Connie, Samantha asked, do you use this sauce you're making for all the ideas that you're mentioning? So do you use it for pizza scrolls and stuff, this particular sauce? Yep.
I'll just see what she said. Do you use this sauce? Yes, I do. I do all the time. So if I make a big batch of this, which I made another batch today, and I would be able to make about 50 pods with the batch that I've got at home. I made that much of the sauce. And I use it when I am supposed to use tomato paste. So in my bolognese, I drop a pot in shepherd's pie, anything that has a red kind of base sauce or not, I just drop a pot in. Pizza scrolls I do all the time for the kids, and that is my base. I don't use anything else other than this. Did you make the tomato? No, I didn't make the tomato paste. That's the other one as well. Sorry.
You can make tomato paste in your Thermomix, though. Yeah.
But I did it with that batch. Okay, so
I'm just grabbing that from Cookie Doo. Sorry, I'll put that in the chat, the tomato paste recipe.
So that's chopped down all my pumpkin and carrots, and the sauce is in there. And now that's going to cook away for 10 minutes. The sauce is going to cook, and then while that's happening, unless you have any specific questions, we're going to move to Raf. Would you use a little bit of this as a tomato paste? Yes, I would, Jess. Definitely. And that's why I like the pods, because it freezes in a small amount. You can just drop it in a recipe and you wouldn't taste it. It's thick enough, and I think it works. It's not going to take over any flavors. Like my shepherd's pie, I do curry and mustard powder, and it doesn't take over. It just falls right in. It's fine. Any other questions while that's cooking? That's going to be 10 minutes. To use it. Oh, would I use it again in this recipe? Yeah, why not? Yeah. That was a question. Would I use this as the tomato paste in this recipe if I had to make it again? Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's awesome. Thank you, Connie.
That's cooking for 10 minutes. So we'll move to Raf, who's going to be making some gut-nourishing gummies.
Gut nourishing. It's all about gut nourishing. I love these.
Yes. So I'm making these. I've made them earlier because I've always got them in the fridge. So I'm making another batch. I've only got a few left. And these, as you can see, are essentially like lollies that you would buy, except minus all the rubbish. So we live pretty well additive and preservative free, much like Connie's house, and pretty low sugar in this house. So we don't I don't give the kids any refined sugars. So I'm always looking for alternative ways to give them a treat or something sweet that isn't overly damaging to their bodies. And since I started making gummies, they're just obsessed. We eat them as adults. The kids, I give them one in their lunch boxes every day, the snack boxes. And I even give it to my baby. I just break it up into little pieces and he just nibbles away at them. So they really love them. They're a winner. I'm going to show you, I'm just going to share my screen because we should be able to work. Okay. No, maybe not.
Are you right? Do you want me to?
I wanted to share my screen and show you my Cookie Doo, but I don't think it's going to work.
I can share my Cookie Doo if you tell me what you want to look at.
Well, no, because it's my created recipe.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off my stand and I'm just going to bring it here to show you. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yeah,
so
perfectly.
This isn't a Cookie Doo recipe. This is actually a recipe that I've created into in my Cookie Doo. So it will look a little different. So this is it here. I'm just going to go there as it loads. So this is what it looks like when you create your own recipe. So I input the photo in there that I took of my own. And these are the ingredients and the steps. So I've literally just input them into my Cookie Do app. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like. It looks a little bit different when you are not following a regular Cookie Do recipe. It looks like this when you've created it. So I'm just going to hit start cooking. Oh, yep. Okay.
I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt, Raf. Created recipes is part of the new TM6. So what you can do is any recipe so Connie, Raf created this recipe, so she's placed it on her Thermomix. You can do the same. So say you have recipes that you love. If you convert them to the Thermomix, you can actually pop them into Cookie Do. So it is still that guided cooking aspect. So like we'll see Raf go through it step by step. The machine will guide her through it. Now, I usually run a Cookie Do class once a month where I go through this much slowly because it does take a bit of time to learn how to pop in the instructions and the steps. But once you've done it once, it's super simple, isn't it, Raf? So, yeah, I definitely do that once a month.
Yeah, if you're doing it from your browser as well, like I've done it from my phone before, but I find it if I'm importing a recipe from the recipe community, the Thermomix recipe community, you can copy and paste a link and it inputs everything. It does it all for you, the ingredients, the instructions. And I find that easy to do by my phone, through my phone. But if I'm actually typing out a recipe and converting it using my own brain and my understanding of the Thermomix, I often find it easier to do on a browser on a proper laptop because, I'm going to type and I've got to, kind of cross two screens and generally look at the original recipe. This recipe here is super simple. It is only a few ingredients. And really, really fast, which is why I love it as well, because if I run out of the gummies, I realize I run out of the gummies, I literally pick this up in 5 minutes. I often make them at night after I put the kids to bed, and 5 minutes later they're in the fridge. They're set within half an hour. So I've even made them in the morning when I've come home from yoga and the kids are getting ready for school. I've even made them in the morning and then put them in their lunch boxes by the time they left the house. So they're really fast and really easy.
And they're expensive to buy, aren't they? They're expensive to buy if you were to buy them, like if you buy gummies, because you can buy them, can't you?
Look, I don't know. Connie might be able to jump in here. I've never seen clean gummies before.
Well, yeah, that's the difference. They might not be clean, but
yeah.
I think you can buy them, but they're expensive. Yeah. They're not super clean.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the ingredients in these are really good for you and really good for the kids as well, and you can monitor the sugar content. So like I said, no refined sugars. So I use either organic honey or organic maple syrup. You could also use rice malt syrup if you wanted to, but you can monitor the amount of sugar that you put into them. So remembering that they're supposed to be a treat for the kids. So they're replacing like lollies, like literally lolly bag that you would have. So you don't want them to be bland, but you can monitor the amount of sugar. We know that it's not a refined sugar, so it's better for them. And the other liquid that you add, so the very, very basic recipe that I do is pretty much orange juice. So I buy organic oranges and I juice it down. Sometimes I get a lemon from the tree. I pretty much juice whatever fruit I've got in the bowl if it's not oranges. So the other day I bought an organic watermelon and it was floury. So I just blitzed it up in the Thermomix and I basically used the juice to make gummies, and they're the best. Everyone keeps telling me they're the best gummies I've ever made.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so whatever juice you want, whatever liquid you want, but obviously keeping in mind they're immunity gummies, so try and you think of stuff that's good for their immunity. So orange juice. So I'm hitting the scales and it says 250 grams of juice. So I've got orange juice in here, and I'm also adding elderberry syrup, which is my little simple ingredient.
Yeah.
This is the best, cleanest brand that you'll find. It's locally made as well. Interestingly enough, some people are a bit offended by it because it does have like a spicy taste, as in it's got cinnamon, ginger, echinacea, star anise, all good, great things for immunity.
Great stuff, yeah.
But I don't put a huge amount, and my kids have never complained about it. So I think it's probably between the honey and the orange juice that it masks the flavours. But this is fantastic. Like this.
Where do you buy it?
Health food stores. So it's hard to find because it's got to be refrigerated, but you can just buy it directly from them. I buy it either directly from them or I buy it from Earthy Mama. So she does organic fruit and veg boxes. And so if I order a fruit and veg box from her, I just add this to my order. But otherwise you can order it directly from them. And it lasts a while in the fridge. And honestly, like even if we've got a sore throat, I just give the kids a teaspoon of this or a tablespoon for us. But it's in their gummies all the time and they don't even know about it.
I love
So I'll add in that if you buy direct from them, they do. I mean, it's a mama-owned business. She's done it all on her own. She's from Victoria. She's amazing, but she has like not a loyalty rewards kind of. If you sign up and you can choose your frequency of your order, monthly or every 3 months or whatever, she gives you a discount. So it's a great clean product. Amazing product. She's done a really good job, and there is nothing on the market like it at all.
No.
So
it's called Elderberry. If you want to find the link,
I'll find the link.
Elderberry Blends Australia. That's the company, and
she actually uses real elderberries. So she uses syrup. She makes the syrup herself, and she adds all clean ingredients to it. So good product. So once I've added the juice into the bowl, the next thing is to add good quality, and I'm stressing this point, good quality grass-fed natural organic gelatin. So you don't have to use the Nutri Organics brand. That's what we do use. But please not supermarket gelatin because it's not going to be good quality. So good quality gelatin is good for bone health, gut health. So we want about 30 grams, and obviously for Team 6 owners, you want to avoid the blade if you're putting powders on it and there isn't that much liquid in there. So I'm just going to go around the blade. So I'm just doing 30 grams, which is a few tablespoons. Now, you can also play with the gelatin amount. The first time you make them, I'd say just stick to the recipe. But if you want them less firm, if you want them a bit floppier, you can put 5 grams less, for example. I prefer them firmer than softer for the kids. They don't break as easy, and I find my kids get all funny if they're a bit too squishy. I have had them not set once before because I think I was off in my ratios. You can always literally, if they don't set in the fridge, just chuck it back in the Thermomix, add a bit more gelatin, heat it up a little bit, stir it, pop it back in the mold. So no problems there. I'm just going to show you, for people who have never used gelatin before, you need to bloom the gelatin. So that means letting the gelatin absorb into the liquid before you do anything. So can you see my bowl there?
Yep.
So it's just like the liquid's starting to soak up the gelatin and starting to go all wrinkly. So I kind of just let it all soak up without it stirring. That just needs a minute or two, like not even. So you let it bloom. And once it's bloomed, then you add honey. So this is organic honey. Again, you can use maple syrup or rice malt syrup. I've only ever used liquid sweeteners, so I don't know what it would be like if you used raw honey, for example, or coconut sugar, which are the other sweeteners that I have in the house. But the original recipe that I found was about 140 grams of honey, and I've slowly over time reduced it to make sure that I've still got the balance right of the jellies, that they're still sweet enough, but not too sweet, and that they still solidify the way I want them to. So at the moment, I'm on about 100 grams, but like I said, the joy with this recipe is you can play with it as much as you like. So just add the honey to the bowl. And pop the lid on. And as simple as 5 minutes, 50 degrees, speed 1. And that's it. They will, it's just warming. So basically what it's doing, which is what, if you were to do it on a stovetop, you would have to heat up the liquid, let the gelatin bloom, stir it until it's dissolved, get it to the right temperature because you don't want to make it too hot, and then let it cool a bit and put it into the molds. But obviously Thermomix does all that for you, and because you don't have to worry about measuring the temperature, 50 degrees is about right. You could do it a little bit hotter, maybe 60, 70, but not much hotter than that. I mean, you don't need to anyway, because the gelatin and the honey melts really quickly. And you can, you know, just stirring it at 1 just keeps it moving. You could even do it slower if you wanted to. I find that the faster I stir it, sometimes if I'm impatient, I'm doing it at 2, whatever, I just flick the dial. It just means that it creates bubbles on the liquids. And then when you pour it into the molds, they have like a little bubbly surface, which is, it's not a problem at all, but just they just look different in the molds.
I love that. Thank you so much, Raph. We'll jump back to Connie.
I'm ready.
Hang on.
Oh.
And then we'll come back to Raph once they're all done. Okay, Samantha, is this available on Cookie for order to even though it's your own recipe? No. Good question to ask. No. So unfortunately with Cookie Dough, and it's due to privacy laws because of people's recipes, we can't actually share created recipes. Whatever the created recipes that you have created are purely yours. So you can definitely, so as Raph's done, she's kind of used a general recipe and adjusted it and her quantities to suit herself. So yep, that is more than fine to put on your created recipes, but unfortunately it's not one we can share. But Raph said she'll send through, like, I'll get the recipe off her exactly, and then you can add it to your own Thermomix, or you can just plug it in as well. So using that home screen, you don't need to do guided cooking. You can just pop in the ingredients using the scale button, scale them in, and then set all the settings as well. Yeah, good idea, Maisie. So you can post, so Recipe Community is a website that is basically anyone can put a recipe up there. You and I, anyone can put a recipe on there, and a lot are really, really good. Anything that is on Recipe Community is for a public forum and that anyone can use. So you could probably look up gummies on there, and then probably will be someone who's put something up. You can actually add that to your cookie dough, which will eliminate you having to plug it all in. Thank you, Maisie. Maisie's put that in our chat. Maisie's one of our amazing team members too. So you could definitely check out the Recipe Community. But Samantha, yeah, definitely, it's just, yeah, trial and error, checking it all out. And I know you're a very new owner, so it will come in time. There is a lot to learn, but you've got a lot of support around you anyway to get you going. But yes, Recipe Community is amazing as well. So lots of ways that you can get your hands on this recipe. Sorry, Connie.
All right. So I am jumping back on. So my sauce is cooked, and now it's asking me to add zucchini, and it said mushrooms, but I've done half mushroom, half capsicum. So I wanted to add some capsicum in there for an extra veg. So I've so far put onion, garlic, celery, carrots, pumpkin, zucchini, mushrooms, and I've done red capsicum now, and the tomatoes, of course. So you're looking at 9 veg already. I am going to cook that down. Actually, I might just add this in now. What I'm going to do is I like to add some bone broth. This one is a mushroom blend, so there's added mushrooms in this one. It's got lion's mane, reishi, is that how you say it? And shiitake mushrooms. You can get a plain broth. I really like the flavor of this one. It's not offensive at all. It tastes almost a bit like a chicken soup. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of that in there. Nice heat. Probably could add some more. Doesn't hurt. And I'm going to add some liver caps. So I just open these up.
Tell us more about the liver caps. I'm so intrigued, and I'm wanting to, you know, potentially do it too. So can you tell me a bit about it? Okay,
so they're just dehydrated, freeze-dried liver, beef liver. Again, good quality, organic, grass-fed liver. I'm just reading the messages. Liver caps. You can buy loose powder or capsules. I like to have the capsules because it gives me a bit more flexibility if I want to just take them without putting them into food. But the powder is obviously easier to dispense if you want to add to food. They don't really taste metallic, like eating raw liver if you don't like raw liver, or even cooked. So I just open them up. I could put a few, but it does give you quite a bit. I think, you could add about 4 to a batch like this. Just open it up, dispense it in, and throw out the empty caps, and that adds some incredible levels of iron to your food, and the kids will never know about it. So
Oh my gosh, I need to make this. My 5-year-old is so desperate for all these things of sauce and the gummies. I am definitely making all of these tomorrow, 100%.
Got bone broth. Yeah, it is best of the bone, which is probably, I would say, the best on the market. There's Jevity that you can use, but I do, which is they're the top 2. But the way that these guys extract their bones and the nutrients from it is a better method. So that is the best anyway. So adding a tablespoon of this, got the liver, and that is going to, I think I jumped ahead a step. That's going to cook it again for a further 5 minutes. And then once that's done, I'm going to blitz it till it is the smoothest paste. And that way I can then put it into my pods and use it however I like. So pizza bases, pizza scroll bases, and like I said, in any of my meals where a tomato paste is called for, it's not too, it is quite a thick paste, so it's great. And then like I know I've got customers who use it on their tomato, like as a pasta sauce, like this recipe asks. So it's just completely up to you, but it's very versatile and jam-packed with
Jam-packed.
Yeah, there's
That's
9
the
9 veggies in there. You won't ever get a recipe with that many, and it does taste delicious. So this recipe doesn't have salt in it. I would be adding salt personally. And yeah, even if you want to add, I've added like Italian herbs before, even fresh herbs. Just depends on your family. It might take over a bit of the tomato taste. So something a bit more subtle so that you can use it more, a bit more versatile. You might want to tone down some of the herbs. It's up to you. But yeah, that's it from me. That's cooking. And then
Thank you so much.
I power blitz it, and I will use those pods, which is going to take me a few days because I don't have enough of them. But I'll be just popping them out, freezing in big bags, and it's going to last me so long. So yeah. Any questions?
I love it.
Feel free. But that is my #1 recipe for using your Thermomix for your health. You can't get a better recipe than that.
And we keep talking about the kids, but it's important for us as well. So like the benefits of us, and I know we're very focused on what the kids and what they need, but we need it too. So
Absolutely,
it's a great way to get it into our selves as well. Thank you so much, Connie. I'm going to switch to Jess. You could use a pumpkin, carrot and zucchini as a separate option for dessert pods.
Zucchini, what do you mean? Just the sauce on.
Oh, carrot cake. Oh, yeah. Pumpkin.
Yeah, not the tomato though. Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Yep.
All right. I've jumped to Raf. Where are we up to, Raf?
So it's finished, but I'm making it stir. I'm making it continue to stir while we talk, because otherwise it'll start to solidify. So I'm just keep touching it. But these are the molds that I use. I just found them at Coles, and I keep my eye out for different shapes if I can, because the kids, that's one thing that they love, being able to pick the shape of their jelly in the morning. So anyway, once it's finished, which it did finish a while ago, but I just kept it stirring like I said, it is just a warm liquid. So I'm going to show you here. I literally just pour it straight into the molds. And like I said, I popped this in the fridge, and it only takes about 30 minutes to solidify. And then when they pop out, they look like the jellies that I showed you before. Make sure you keep them in an airtight container in the fridge. I would like to tell you how long they last, but they basically don't last. Your kids will eat them really quickly. Yeah, I try and limit my kids to having one a day. Every now and then, you know, if they're asking for another one, I will. But I try and limit it to one a day, just bearing in mind that it does have a decent amount of honey in it, which is still sugar at the end of the day. So, like I said, I treat it as their treat. And I also don't want them to get sick of it. I make a different recipe. So this is the immunity version that I make, but I also make a chocolate version, which is basically using coconut milk. Or coconut milk or coconut cream from a can. I buy an organic one. And then Choc Whiz. So Nutra Organics make actually I've got it here. So I use this for the kids instead of cocoa. And this is really good for their gut health as well. So it's got fabulous ingredients in it, but basically it's like a chocolate powder, but good for them. And so I make a chocolate version of the gummies with coconut cream, Choc Whiz, bone broth, and maple syrup. So I can share that recipe too if you like. They don't last as long because of the coconut cream. So you've got to eat them within a few days, but trust me, they'll be gone. And the other thing I wanted to mention, and also with the chocolate ones, you can actually just put them in a cup of hot milk and turn them into a hot cup of chocolate milk. Yeah, so you could also, if you wanted to, if the kids have hot breakfasts, you could also add it to their breakfast as well. Just something that dissolves them, basically. The other thing I want to mention is if you don't have the molds, you don't need to stress, just put baking paper on a tray and just pour them on the baking paper. And then once they solidify, just cut them up into like little cubes or something. I mean,
that's what I've.
Yeah, the kids love the molds, but if you don't have them.
Because my molds weren't deep enough, so they weren't great. So I just put them in a silicone tray, like one of the mix shop silicone tray things. And then I just literally cut them into squares and they worked out fine. But the kids obviously love a little shape. So
yeah,
that's, the better way to go.
These are the watermelon ones I was talking about before. I just opened up the thing again. I just got a whiff of watermelon. Like they smell like fake watermelon, but it's real watermelon. But yeah, like you can see that these are quite firm. But like I said, you can reduce the gelatin if you want, and then just they'll be a bit softer. But yeah, you can make them in just a tray and cut them up if you like. And yeah, pop them in the fridge. My other tip is I sit the molds on a Tupperware lid because the molds are silicone and floppy. When you go to lift them, they all go floppy everywhere and the liquid goes everywhere. So put them on a tray or I put them on a Tupperware lid and then they sit in the fridge and they don't go all funny on me.
2 questions for you, Raf. Can you use the Berry Immune instead of Choc Whiz?
Yeah, so I have made them with Berry Immune before. So there was a time where I didn't have fruit in the fruit bowl. So I basically, I'll show you, actually I don't have my Berry Immunes up here, but I've got my Super Green and Reds. I've also done it with Super Green and Reds. So I basically just put the water in, dissolved the powder into the water, and then you can just taste it. Like I definitely say taste it before you put the gelatin and honey in. To see whether or not you like the flavour, because I've done it before with the Super Green and Reds and it's been a bit too bitter. So yeah, just the same amount of water, so 250 water, dissolve your Berry Immune or this, taste it, make sure it's got the right flavour, then add the gelatin, then add the honey. Amazing. So yeah, if you don't have fruit, then you can do something else.
And if I have old fruit and want to get rid of that's not juicy, do I just add water to it?
So the non-juicy fruit is actually a good point, right? So I had kiwis one day and I was like, how do you juice a kiwi? Well, what am I going to do in the Thermomix? So I actually just I peeled the orange with the pith. I threw the whole orange in, some lemon and a kiwi. I blitzed it up, speed 10. Then I got a really fine sieve that I've got and I just strained it through the sieve until all the liquid came out. And then I used that liquid as a juice. So even though kiwi isn't a juicing fruit, I basically still used it and I did it that way. So I created a liquid like that. So there's not a fruit. I mean, the only fruit I probably wouldn't do maybe is banana. But all the others, if you can't juice it, so to speak, then just blitz it in the Thermomix and that's what I did with the with the watermelon as well. I blitzed it in the Thermomix first, and then I passed it through a sieve, and I used the liquid.
And another question, how about with the coconut version? So I think that's the question is the berry immune. Can you use that in the coconut milk
Oh,
version?
yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Personally, I think it would be quite sweet. So I'd probably use less the less berry immune than I would the Choc Whiz powder. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. Beautiful. Definitely you need to jump on and follow Raf and Connie, because they always have amazing advice and tips and hints and tips on their Instagram. So I know that I have learned a lot of them both and have for my own cooking. So definitely give them a follow. Girls, I don't know if you can you put it in the chat, just your Instagram link, your name, so that everyone can jump on and join. But otherwise, in terms of our cooking little series, we are done for the night. Were there any questions, or does anyone have any comments or questions or anything that they want to share? So there's Connie's Our Wholesome Home _. So definitely give them a follow. Yeah, so if there's any questions, please feel free to throw it in the chat or come off mute. Otherwise, definitely touch base with your consultant if you have any other questions about tonight. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope that it helped give you a few ideas. I know I learned a lot. I'll be buying liver capsules and things like that tomorrow. I'll be asking the girls where to go and buy
things that I wouldn't use in my own house, so nothing.
Buying it. Elderberry.
Yeah.
I'm buying it all. We've just had some sick months at our house, so I'm like, right, we're having gummies, we're having sauce, we're having the sauce, the liver, everything. So thank you so much, girls, for doing that for me and helping us out tonight, Connie and Raf. And thank you everyone for joining. Please yell out to your consultant if you have any other questions. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. Next week, we are focusing on money saving. So if you're interested, jump on. Love to see you there. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you,
Good night.
everyone.
See you later. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
I'll stop the recording.